Welcome to my channel Summer AI. In this tutorial we are going to see object-oriented programming in Python. To starting with, we are going to see classes in Python. So classes are like a template. Consider something like in real world, everything is an object and every object has some property and some features, right? So in real time, let's take an example of a car. So car have some properties and exhibits some feature, right? It has a color, it has a brand name, it has a value, it has a mileage, it has a high speed. So all these things define what kind of car is that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create a class. To create a class, simple write class and the class name. So let's say this call this class name as cars, and we can simply any functions, we can simply pass this one, and your class is ready. So this can be a simple class, right? Now, once we have a class ready, right, what we can use this class for, we can actually create multiple instances of this class. For example, let's say I am saying car1 is equal to car, okay, and also another instance of car2 is equal to car. So now I have this car1 and car2 two instance of my actual class. Now what I can use of this instance is I can define the car1 properties or car1 instance variables, right? I can define it using this. So let's say now I can say car1 dot color equal to, let's say, white, okay, and then car2 dot color equal to red. Okay, so now I have these two instance variable created for my instance, which was created from my class, right? And how I can use it, let's say if I want to just check if car1 dot color, and then I can run. Okay, and it's giving me white. So what I did here, I created class and I don't have anything inside the class. Only thing is like I'm creating the using this class and creating few other instance of it to initialize this. Okay, and then I have this particular instance and I have another uh, variable or the property of the car which I'm defining, right? And then I can use that to show it here, right? So what I did, I created only one class here, but I'm using this class I can use for n number of cars. Let's say if I have 10 different cars, I can simply initiate it and I can give the properties to each of them, right? So we can take it a little further, and what we can do, we can use something, not only pass, we can define something more valuable which makes class more powerful. So let's define. So this is how we define, right? We have seen this in functions. So you see when I give this, right, it give me init method here, right? And when I select this one, and this gives me that this is getting initiated with self. So by default I'm getting this self here, guys. Okay, if you are using Visual Code Studio, right? Visual Studio Code, I mean, so you will, once you select this init, the self parameter by default it is coming as a first parameter when I'm defining using the init method. Okay, so now what I can do, let's say I will define my arguments, like self is already defined as the first argument. I will define little more. So let's say I have already used one called color. So I will color, let's go with brand and name of the car, and let's say price of the car. Okay, so I want to use these many arguments. Okay, and now I cannot simply pass it, right? So when I'm initializing, right, then I have to use my self. This self is nothing but this is helping me initialize this all arguments which I'm passing. So self dot, what is a color, color equal to color, okay, and self dot brand equal to brand, okay, self, let's initialize everything, and name equal to name. So I'm just going to show you how we can, make this classes more powerful. Okay, because now we were defining everything manually below that we have seen, right? Everything we define manually, we are able to use this classes, but we can do more than this. So let's define this also price, okay, and this, okay. Now what we were doing initially, we are just initiating this variables using this car class, but this car class was having nothing earlier, right? So there were no arguments which we are going through, but now I have four arguments here, right? So that is necessary to pass. Now I can define my car one has a color, let's say what I have given before, I given white, right? So let me give white, and then next thing is brand, so let's say Volkswagen, and then name of the car, let's say Polo, and the lastly the price, right? So let's say 5,000. Okay. In car 2 we can also define all this arguments, right? So we can just pass these parameters. So let's say the color is red and the brand is, let's say, Ford, okay, and the name of the car is Figo, and let's say price is 4,000. Okay, so now I have this car1, car2, and all the arguments, right, are passed. Now I pass all the arguments, right? So now what I can do, this code that you've seen, right, I was just calling. So if I have to call this every color and every brand and the name and the price of the car, then I have to write this 8 lines of code, right? I think which I did it here in 2 lines, right? Now let me just comment this, and let me run this print car1 color. Let's see if we get the same output. Okay, so now you can see here, if you see, I'm getting white. Let me just print for all this, and print car1 dot brand. Let me just copy this, car1 dot name dot price, right? And let me just do it for the car2 also, car2, okay, so 2, okay. So I'm just printing everything, guys, and you can see with this small class that I wrote, right, simply providing this all arguments and then defining using my instance variables. Let me just run this, and if you see, I'm able to print everything, right? It's printing the first car details and the second car details, right? It's printing me everything. Okay, so this is how we can make this classes powerful, simply simply using the init method. So it just initialize everything, and I'm able to take out response from it. Okay, so next thing, let's say in this information that we have, right? This is like directly I'm just giving the color, brand. I'm just simply just making, I'm giving everything actually from the input, right? I'm just giving everything. So let's say if I want to, I want to take a short description out of this particular information that I have, right? I want to maintain some particular format of giving self description of the car. Let's say I want in description, I want brand name and the name and then color and then price. Let's say I want to specify all this in some format, right? So and this things are very common. Let's say if you're working in any application, you're just getting first name and last name, and you have to print a complete name, right? Similarly here, let's say you have a car name and car brand, you might have to give full name as car brand name plus the name of the car. For example here, so we are looking for, I want the short description is equal to Volkswagen Polo, right? Not only polo, right? I want the full the description as the brand name and the name of the car. So for that, let's say if you want to do something like that, so you can again define, another method inside the class. So let's call this method full description or anything you want, like just like keep that. And whenever we are initializing this, you have to use self, right? Don't forget that inside the class you can use this, and then uh, it should return it should return. So we are looking for how many placeholders. So let's say four here, right? So just create four placeholders, right? So each for each information that we have, right? Brand name, price, and color. So for everything we have this placeholders, and then so we have to dot format, and then you can use self. So you have used this self, right? And same thing we did earlier, self dot color and everything, right? So we can just do the same thing. And this dot format actually takes everything, all the arguments in comma separated. So you can provide whatever you want to keep into the format in the comma separated. So let's say I want to self dot brand name as first, because I want my brand to go first, and then I want that it takes the name of the car, right? Name, and then let's say I want to tell what is the color of the car, and lastly I want it to print price of the car. So self dot price. Okay, so now I have this method ready here, right? Let's say I have this method ready. Now what I can do here is um, let me print it here. So now I can use this full description because already this full description is ready here, right? So I can simply print and car1 dot full description. Okay, this is a method. So let's use and let's run this. Okay, so you can see here for car1 I'm getting the short description in the top because I'm using this, right? So I'm getting a short description in the top here. I can just simply do this for car2, print. Okay, car2. Let me just make everything else. Let me just comment it. Okay, let's run this. Okay, so now you can see Volkswagen Polo, white, 5,000 rupees. Port Figo red, 4,000 rupees. You can customize it also as you want. Like if you want something in between, you can give that, right? So this is how we can write a class, and we can use the information inside it. We can make it very shorter and descriptive to the particular class. So initially I was saying it helps us to actually define a template. So if you see here, I have a car template which has four properties that I'm asking, or four properties is what I have it in the template, right? And that is valid for all the cars, right? Every cars is this kind of information is still valid. So I can use this class and actually take the inputs for all this different car types, take this information, and I can actually do operations on that, if you see, right? So this is how this class are very powerful, and we'll see more on this in further classes, right? Thank you. If you have learned something from the class, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit on the bell notification. So next time when I upload a video, you'll get notified. Thanks for watching.